Hi everyone, this is Kelly Lynn Adams. I am here with the fashion icon Liz Lange. If you don't know who she is, you need to check her out. She's all over the place. She's created the top maternity brand that is seen in Target, Home Shopping Network, all over. It's the Liz Lange maternity brand.
Well, Liz Lange maternity is now at every Target store, but I did do a line for Home Shopping Network that I launched a year ago. It's not maternity. It's just regular clothing. It's called Completely Me by Liz Lange.
That's great. And then you were the first fashion maternity designer to be featured in New York Fashion Week.
I was. Right? We did a fashion show back in actually 2001, and was the first ever official, at the tent during New York Fashion Week. Real fashion show. We used real models. They happened to be pregnant. It was a very big deal. We had, Good Morning America and the Today Show and CNN and lots of press. It was really exciting.
That's amazing. And now you have a company with your sister, right?
I do.
Shop a Frolic.
Working with my sister is like a dream come true for me. We're extremely close. I have it's a website, but it's really a daily newsletter. You sign up for it on the website, but then it's every day, and it's called shopafrolic.com. And we give fashion, beauty, accessory, shopping advice to women every single day, because all moms and all women everywhere need to look fabulous and chic.
Great. Oh, and then I know you're an author, and then you're a speaker as well.
I am. I've written Liz Lange's maternity style guide, how to look fabulous during the most fashion challenge 9 months of your life. And so that's my book. And in addition, I love entrepreneurialism. I love speaking to fellow entrepreneurs and to women's groups, and I do that around the country,
That's amazing.
as often as I can.
Yeah, and we met at Tori Johnson's Spark and Hustle, and she was amazing.
Oh my goodness, thank you. I love that conference. I love doing things like that. That's what I meant.
That's great. Now, I have a couple questions that my viewers have written in and wanted to know from you, but how did you get started, with the whole, because you've built an empire, pretty much.
Thank you. It's a long story, but the short version is back in about 1996 when I was newly married, and my friends were also at that same stage in their life, and they were pregnant. I was not. But they all had the same complaint about not being able to find anything that they could wear during their pregnancy that felt like them, that they felt comfortable with in their work environment. And I had this sort of light bulb moment of women needed sort of chicer, more fashionable, and also more fitted maternity clothing, because at the time maternity clothing was very oversized. So I designed a few pieces really just for friends. I had no background in design, honestly, but I just did it, and it took off beyond my wildest expectations. And obviously there are more details than that, but that's the quick
That's great. Now, another question people wrote in about is, how long did it take you to build a brand and make a profit, would you say?
Well, those are two separate things, I would say, but I think they both, I was really lucky, and they both happened fairly quickly. I kept my expenses really, really low at the beginning. I was doing all my clothing made to order, so I would make you that maternity dress unless you bought it in advance, and then I'd make it for you and I'd deliver it 2 weeks later to you, which probably wouldn't work today, but it worked then. My dog is joining us. This is Rosie. So I was able to make a little bit of money pretty quickly, and building the brand, that's a longer thing, but from the very start, I was trying to dress celebrities, which was not very hard to do since nobody was interested in dressing pregnant celebrities back then. And celebrities are huge brand builders. I started to get a lot of press, and before I knew it, we kind of were a brand.
That's great. That's great. Now, what was, a lot of entrepreneurs have obstacles and, setbacks. What would be your one biggest obstacle that you faced, and how did you overcome it?
Well, that's a good question. I'd say one of the biggest obstacles I faced turned into the biggest opportunity, and I think that's what's really interesting about obstacles, which is after the events of September 11, 2001, which you all remember, the marketplace changed dramatically. I mean, it did bounce back, but for a while it was really scary, and all of a sudden these expensive maternity stores I had in New York City and in Beverly Hills and Long Island, they weren't doing as well as they had done prior to that. And I thought about what I was going to do to survive that difficult time, and it was hard. And I noticed that, I'd always been very, very involved with my customers. It was before social media, but they used to always email me, and I loved that. And I would always email back with them. And I noticed that although a lot of the emails were very positive, there was a sort of negative strain sometimes that ran through a bunch of them, which was, Liz, we love the Liz Lange look, and we want to look that way when we're pregnant, but we can't afford it, or we're not Cindy Crawford. So I thought, that's interesting. So I realized there's this whole huge world of women that I'm not dressing right now, and that I'm not able to dress. So I actually approached Target. I thought they could be a really interesting partner for that. And together we created Liz Lange for Target, which was my diffusion line. And we distributed to every single Target store in the country and up to Target.com. And that was 10 years ago. And today that is the exclusive maternity brand at every Target location and on Target.com. And that was a really just great, stylish, affordable, option. And it also, in some ways, saved my business. So
that's great. And I like what you said, the biggest obstacle turned into the biggest opportunity.
And I think that could be true of almost any obstacle.
Okay.
And I think if you're an entrepreneur, you have to think of things that way, because optimism is so important when you're an entrepreneur, and you just have to always be focused on solutions and not on the problems, but on the solutions to the problems.
That's great. Great advice. Top 3 things that you think are crucial to building a successful business that entrepreneurs.
Oh my goodness, these are tough questions, Kelly. Well, let's see. Okay, well, I think first of all, I said it just a minute ago, but I'll just reiterate it. You need to be a very optimist. It sounds crazy or like not true, but it is the truth. You need to have an enormous amount of positive thinking and optimism, because obstacles are just part of being an entrepreneur and part of building a brand. So you always need to be thinking about how are we going to solve this, but not focusing on what the issue is, because there will be so many issues, and not letting them get you down. I think at the very beginning, I always talk about kind of shutting out all the negativity and the naysayers, because the truth of the matter is that before you do something new, before you start a business, nobody ever thinks it's a good idea. They just don't. So it's that whole, like, if you build it, they will come. You have to remember, as the one that has the idea, as the entrepreneur, you're the visionary, and you're seeing things that maybe others don't. Okay. So I think that's really important. And I think knowing your strengths and your weaknesses, and if you can, sort of hiring around your weaknesses and being willing to sort of give up some control. I mean, we're all a bit of control freaks. I'm guilty of that myself. And learning. I learned so much from my employees. So it's not just a one-way street. I learned from them.
Yeah. So, and that's my next question is, as entrepreneurs, we are very controlling and we want to do everything in our businesses. What would be, what do you think would be the breaking ground of when you have to give up some control? Is it when you're kind of going crazy, or when do you need help? Would you say?
It's different for everybody when you need help, but I know that I can be a very creative person. I do have a good head for business, but I'm not like a numbers person. So from the very beginning, I couldn't afford like a full-time numbers person, but I had an outside accountant who used to help me with the numbers, even just on a quarterly basis. Right. So I just think it's about knowing yourself and knowing what you need. And I do think if you follow your instincts, it's going to be obvious when there are things you need help with. I hope. And things you don't. But I don't know if I could give one generalized breaking point.
Yeah, that's great. And what would you say? Would you say your biggest, how to leverage your time? Was it like seeking out help for you?
It is. It's about allowing yourself. It's about again, I keep saying the same stuff, but I do believe all these things. It's about knowing your strengths and weaknesses and not spending too much time on the things that you're not very good at. It's hard for me. I balance a couple of things because I was growing this business. I have 2 children. And it's sort of about just knowing where your time will be best utilized. And again, I think you know what that is. For me, it's about being the face of the brand and being out there. It's about design. Sometimes when I had my shops, it was about being in the stores. But it wasn't about, chasing down every bill or crunching all the numbers. That's not what I'm good at. Or planning or merchandise planning. It's just personal. It wasn't what I was good at, so it wouldn't be a good use of my time.
Right. Now, you said you're, being the face of the brand, and a lot of entrepreneurs have a product or a service that they want to, get into the media. So any advice on that?
I do think media can really build brands, but I think it's easier today than it ever was, because media means so many different things today. Like when I was starting my business, it really just meant print or electric, which means kind of magazines and newspapers or TV. But today we've got this whole world of social media, and I think that is equally as powerful. So I think, be tweeting, be Facebooking, seek out the celebrities that you think are the correct endorsers for your product, not just blanketing celebrities in general, but depending on what your product is and what you know about certain celebrities or about what certain writers or editors write about, really being very targeted in the press that you look for, but being really aggressive about trying to get it. But definitely social media. I tweet all the time. I'll say it, you're even on your blog. I'm at Liz Lange, and I like to talk to people.
Yeah, and we're going to put all your information on the blog.
Okay, thank you.
Any last piece of advice for entrepreneurs that either want to get started, build a brand, anything that you would?
Well, you just have to go for your dreams, and you really have to shut out all the negative noise, not just what's coming from externally, but also in your own head, because we're all filled with doubts, and we all can be our own worst enemy at times, and you have to just believe in yourself and go for it.
That's great. Oh, so great advice. Such great advice. Thank you so much.
This was so much fun.
Yes, and I'm going to put up your Shopper Frolic
Thank you.
Because I saw you on Martha Stewart.
Oh, right.
in
That was
February.
a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun.
It's a great website. So thank you
Thank you.
so much. Thank
Thanks.
you for your time.